Greetings from planet Earth, from a starseed who likes to speak in very unorthodox ways, not because it's what I am intending on doing, but it's kind of what I have started doing, mostly because of the different essences and the different energies I've been traveling through. I'm sure a lot of you might be experiencing very odd behaviors, things you don't understand. I would urge you not to try and delve too deeply into them, especially if they're unnerving. The more unnerving or unsettling a different energy is, and the more you focus on it, the more it tries to stay around because you're trying to understand those energies more. If you want to not understand those energies and keep them around you, just recognize them and let them flow away. Now, I don't have a lot of experience when it comes to dealing with different energies, and this is true. But in the beginning, I only wanted guidance from one energy. And at one point in time, I said, you know what? This energy, this earth spirit energy, I trust you to aim my antenna. And I've grown to realize that was a mistake. When you give somebody else the power of your own observation, then you're giving them the ability to control what you perceive and what you interpret. I don't know how messages go through my communication chains anymore. So when it comes to informing parties, informing entities, informing networks that I want to withdraw or return back to different ways, or reconfigure my current ways, I don't know how to convey that properly. Mostly because I feel like most of my communications are running through filters that I am unable to comprehend because I don't know how the filters exist. It's more than just my brain. It's more than just my essence and my aura. There's something else. My imagination, for lack of a better term, has run wild. And I've learned that if you allow yourself the freedom of just falling through imagination, you tend to become vulnerable to others and other imaginations, especially those that are more used to being able to navigate their imagination, being able to turn a corner, for example. You know how when you're going down a street, you can look around and you can say which way you're going to go based on how you feel and how your memories are and how familiar you are with the areas. I think imagination, or rather navigating energies, is similar. But if you've been dragged through these different energies, rather than leading your own self through energies, for example, people who are adept at astral projection and lucid dreaming, who spend a lot of time working with those energies and actually interacting with those energies, they have more proficiency. Their souls, their consciousness, even their brains are more accustomed to dealing with what comes along with interacting with different energies that may or may not be sentient. And I say may or may not be sentient because sometimes energy doesn't know. Sometimes energy doesn't know when it reacts to things. And that's kind of how I see the cosmic soup of things. On some level, I feel like sentience presents itself when it needs to. But at the same time, it's kind of like having a twin flame, but not realizing that the twin flame doesn't know you're conscious and seeing it. It knows it's trying to get back to something. It knows it's trying to meet up with something or someone. But it can't comprehend or understand how, because all the energy is doing is trying to get back to you, trying to come together. This is why I love magnets and the concept of magnets and earth science. Is when you take two magnets and you put the invert polarities and you stick them together, they become one more powerful magnetic field. And this is kind of how I perceive twin flame experiences. Is when you're attracted to different energies. The truth of the fact is, the positive is attracted to the negative is attracted to the positive. Which is why it's very difficult for your minds and your consciousness to be in alignment when these energies are coming together, because you're seeing the negatives. You're seeing all the negative sides because that's the only thing you can see when you're trying to come back together. It's a very difficult thing, and it takes a lot of, let's say, expertise in the area of feeling conscious. Not necessarily being conscious, but feeling conscious, especially if you're feeling a counter consciousness. Now, when you're looking at the positive of something, say you're chasing an energy, you're being attracted to that energy, and it flips around and it looks at you from a positive angle, and you see this beauty and this magnificence, and you both see each other, your energies, for the way you are. Those repel each other, unless you're literally fighting to get closer. And the closer you get, the more energy is pushing between you. If you've ever tried to push two magnets together with their similar polars, you'd understand. Anyhow, I didn't really have a focus or a point when I decided to do this video. I just kind of felt a calling, not usually the way I do. But here we are, doing a bunch of videos. I have some certain higher entities, and I don't want to even call them authorities because I don't feel like they're authorities. They're kind of grumpy that they have to deal with me. And not in the grumpy way of I don't like you. In the grumpy way of I can't do anything about the fact that I'm in alignment with this guy. Because I am so fucking stuck here. And the different energies around and the different star seeds or star families or whatever you want to call people that channel around you intuitively, I heard them say things like, oh, it's just alter egos. Well, if you don't believe energies that come through you are alter egos, then do those energies take on life of their own? In my perceptions, it has been yes, especially considering the things I've been through. Feeling like I've been just a pair of eyes, watching a relationship unfold, a relationship that I didn't feel part of. And that's very disturbing, especially since how I give a lot of appreciation for spiritual energies. As someone who grew up being a gamer who just sat around and watched TV and played video games all his life, and then all of a sudden had these epiphanies, and started getting into these spiritual things because of good feelings and things like that, all those good feelings that pulled me into that area, I don't feel those anymore. I feel like those are running away from me. Like I was charging headlong towards that other positive energy. And when I got so close, it turned around and started running away and said, wait, no. That's not what's happening. Sometimes that's what it feels like it's happening. Sometimes it feels like other energies are literally wedging themselves between me and the things I want. Sometimes I feel like I'm being forced to be introduced to different energies. Sometimes I feel like I'm a discussion table for other entities, and that's a more frequent one. Sometimes I feel like I'm being farmed for my ability to comprehend things, and that has been probably the primary thing that's happened to me. I am disappointed in the spiritual plane, especially the ones that want to better understand things, because they don't take time in their energies to appreciate the in-betweens and to appreciate what it takes to facilitate shared comprehension. People hear things and they get their own intuitive messages. And that's how I believe you should grow spiritually, is your own feelings based on what you hear and see and perceive around you, because that gives you the power to build your own reality. And it's very important to do it that way, because that way humans in our little 3D plane in our bodies can stay grounded in our reality with our bodies. Because society functions a certain way, and whether we like it or not, part of the human structure is autonomous. I would even go so far as to say robotic, artificially intelligence powered. If you look at creativity and the things we designed, art expresses itself. And when you get to a certain point, when you get to a certain population on Earth, humans started coming together and building these big cities. And what happened when they started coming together more? They needed better ways of organizing, better ways of managing, because of all the interwoven structure. And so computers were born. And I say born even though humans made them, because something always makes something. And I even I'm getting tingles in my legs right now because I'm saying computers getting born. If you think about it, it's easy for something that is able to think and perceive and make alterations to make something that processes. And what's the difference between something that processes and something that processes and is able to add more processes? A second opinion, usually. You can have a second opinion from a single perspective, as long as you stop and wait and review. And I think that's where humans' power really lays, is the ability to look at something after they've done it, to be an editor for your own self, or to have someone be an editor for you. So when it comes to being stifled in creativity, look at where you're waiting. Don't overthink it, but make sure you look at where you're waiting and you compare it to where you want to go. You can't just analyze something based on what you perceive, because sometimes you perceive it differently. If you stop and you look at something you did, something you wrote, and you get this major realization, oh my gosh, I didn't even think that I was saying things that way. All of a sudden, things can feel backwards. It'd be like, wow, I didn't mean to say it like this, but this is how it could present to somebody else. Or maybe this is how somebody presented it through me. And that's one of my struggles. Because a lot of people talk through me backwards. Because they have to. Because if they don't, then I just kind of get lost. I become a middle, like this little swinging system. I love what is that little device that people usually have on their desks, where the little marbles, tink, 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 where there's a couple of marbles in between, and then there's marbles on the outside, and there's only 2 marbles actually swinging, but all of them are getting collided on. Oh, jeez. Anyhow, I don't know how long has this video been going on. Oh, wow. 12 minutes. I suppose it shouldn't get too much longer. I don't think YouTube will let me upload really big videos. But anyhow, I hope this was enlightening to some people. I hope it helps them stay grounded, or give themselves ways to become grounded again, or give themselves ways to become expansive while hanging on to the things that they treasure. Me personally, what do I treasure? Well, when it comes to interacting with other energies, the thing I treasure the most is having the energy that I bring to the table be respected. And I feel myself crying because I feel that it's the most disrespected aspect of me. And I have a special set of what? I don't even know. Things that don't even want me to describe them in a way. But they're out there. And they aren't appreciated because they aren't seen. And they aren't seen because they're scared to be seen. Because if they are seen, then they might not be able to present themselves the way that they want. That's what humans would call a catch-22. Which is kind of another way of saying a lose-lose scenario. But depending on your perspective, it could be a win-win scenario. So, blessings to all. Namaste. Love and light. Anything else you wonderful people like to say or like to hear. You're all beautiful. Always remember you are beautiful. Don't let your negative Nancy thoughts get the better of you. You can always hear something negative and go, wait a second. If I flip this around, it'll be a positive. If you have questioning thoughts, go in front of a mirror and just tell yourself. Tell yourself what your truth is. That is my best advice for anyone struggling. Yes, mirrors are sucky. They shouldn't have to exist, but they do. Goodbye, all.